Do you find that being an introvert is a disadvantage in your career? Just wondering if anyone is on the same boat as me. I've been doing very well in my job since I joined my company. Being the introvert that I am, I don't sell my success to people. I'm just working away, making sure I generate revenue, overachieve my targets, and also make sure I don't step on anyone's toes. My job is filled with big personalities. I have worked with so many who oversell themselves, are great in office politics, and talks big all the time. Although I find them obnoxious, management seem to favor the type. They're not looking for someone who delivers. They are always impressed with the talkers. I'm feeling like no matter how well I do in my job, I will always be left behind because of the big personalities who are good in talking. I started reading Susan Cain's book, Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, and it does speak to me a lot. Although, I still don't know what to do to be noticed. Anyone on the same boat? Edit. Thanks for the responses. I really appreciate it. I'm in a sales job, can you believe it? I'm an introvert in a sales job. Hence the environment being mostly of people talking themselves up, even if performance-wise is going the opposite direction. I definitely have a list of my closed deals which I update every time I close something. I just closed one yesterday, which is my 10th deal since January. So performance-wise, I'm still leading. I just don't understand how 10 deals didn't get complimented and 6 deals did, my coworker. And I agree with what the others posted. It's also a cycle for me. Having to prove myself over and over that some days, I question why I have to do it. I'd like to be satisfied with not getting noticed. After all, I only just need the salary. But at the same time, I work so hard. Harder than anyone in the team, and I feel like people don't see it. They only hear who talks the loudest, which makes me sad. I will follow some of your tips on how to work around this. I'm not shy. I'm just not a bullshitter, and I'd like to think the results speak for itself. But I probably should reconsider that bit. Definitely. I see newcomers at my job getting promoted when I am stuck in the same dead-end position, and it's purely because I am not outspoken. Yes, loudmouth attention-seeking extroverts will always be given managerial promotions over the quiet person. Definitely. I've learned to quietly advocate for myself directly to the people that matter to get myself noticed. It's helped my bosses recognize me as a valued employee. I'll never win any big awards, but that's okay. I don't drink the Kool-Aid, and I'm not reaching for public recognition. I have bi-monthly meetings with my boss where I run through all my projects and initiatives, and the first thing I cover are the big wins and interesting things. I track my big wins when they happen so I can summarize them in my annual performance review. It will also help as a guide for future projects and job interviews. Never let a big win or deliverable go unnoticed at work, and try not to consider it bragging. Just give it the right context, like 60K saved, 1 meter saved, 40 hours spent, major de-risking, lesson learned for next time, etc. Clients and bosses like to hear when you succeed in their interests. This is in a project management context. My boss is effusive that I am providing critical value and that I not go anywhere, so this advice above seems to be working well. I'm in an extremely similar situation. My job is full of super outgoing, loud and talkative people. I'm in the minority that I just want to be quiet, keep my head down and just do my work. My current boss is the most talkative of them, and is constantly trying to get me out of my shell, for my personal and professional development, which I never asked for. Although I'm often praised for my work, I've been told on a few occasions that I need to work on my confidence to get further in my career. It is quite frustrating that people conflate being quiet with a lack of confidence. It always seems like us introverts have to change, and the extroverts are the ones we should aspire to. Loud, sometimes obnoxious people get ahead in the corporate world, unfortunately. I'm a teacher. I feel it's an asset since I can empathize with my quiet students, which they appreciate. 110. I work for a newspaper and I've heard, you don't seem outgoing and social enough for your job. To which I reply, well, I guess we're even, Thomas, because you don't seem well off enough for yours. I have to work 10 times harder just to prove myself all because I don't walk into a meeting practically kissing everyone's ass and throwing confetti everywhere. I just don't feel like my personality should be the deciding factor or whether or not I'm just as hard of a worker as Thomas. Very much so, I'm afraid. Oh man, totally. I used to work in HR and I was always being scolded by my boss for not being friendly enough, whatever that means. I did my best to help others, but apparently they wanted me to be friends with every single employee. Isn't treating them with respect enough? I agree, and it's quite sad. When you're extroverted, you're vibrant and commanding, but when you're reflective and observant, you're only seen as quiet or shy. I think introversion comes with intelligence, in that we seek to understand before we say or act. Most definitely. Not being the loudest voice in the room has always been a disadvantage. Where I live in Ireland, I have often seen people promoted for their extroversion and not their competence. On occasion, such people are often very unkind individuals. I'd say it's helped me. As you say, the big talkers talk a great game. I have been in several places where I've outlasted many big talkers by just getting the work done. The more you let it bother you, the more of hindrance it becomes. Susan Cain's book? I read it and I thought it was a decent read. However, I also learned that following her suggestions which take you outside of your comfort zone aren't always necessarily helpful for everyone. It's like pulling a rubber band too tightly and then it snaps back. That's what I found out happened when I tried some of them. I found after years of attempting to change just to be at peace with myself how I am. And have always found jobs where working independently is an asset. I would be sent off to do a task and not be bothered with unless I requested help. I now have my own business and my work reputation keeps me busy. I also have skills that these days are getting hard to find. I end up turning work away. Yup, I'm branded as unfriendly and lacking communication. I was denied a promotion because I lack interpersonal skills. I was also told that I failed the daily interview. I had never heard that before in my life. Thing is, the people in charge of me don't talk to me ever either. I've worked there for 7 years and have now stagnated. Need to move on with my life. Yes, I knew an obnoxious former frat boy, sneaky, mean, and talked about how much he drank move up quickly because he networked so well. These are 40-year-old men. Me a total opposite, stayed where I was at. It's so difficult to move up the ladder at work for me. Every job I've had only lasts 45 years. I find needing to talk, provide customer service, fulfill all my work tasks, and keep a relationship with the people at work exhausting. It's a lot for me and I do my best to escape at every break for some quiet alone time. I do explode at times and I need to cry and it always affects my jobs. But if you're around me for 40+ hours a week, you're going to see me cry. It's how I release all the tension, emotions, frustrations and overwhelm. But it's seen as weird, a mental illness, a problem, a troubled person, etc. So I'm forced to move on eventually because people make assumptions about me. Born tired doesn't even begin to describe it. I've always felt this way about large amounts of people and sensory overload, but as a child teen I learned to cope and make it work, but as an adult being forced to work just to make ends meet is where I realized how difficult being this way really was. I had one boss comment extensively on how I was introverted. The job didn't require talking to people all day, but I find often they want you to be chatting up the office to appear friendly, etc. It didn't make sense to me as I did plenty of that. But it's never enough. I eventually decided to leave comms marketing as this is an expected personality type for this role for some reason. Although curiously men seem exempt. Now I'm going back to studying and maybe academia as quiet and focused is normal in that. Yes, I work in tech and see it all the time. I try to go out of my way to talk to people. I'm in electrical engineering.
I have 2 speeds.
Saying things bluntly that people don't want to hear even though I word it well, and saying nothing. I don't waste breath, so in my career I feel like it hurt me until I impressed upon the people that matter what I needed. Once I took a calculated approach and broke down enough info that it was obvious I had my shit together and couldn't be refuted, it became much easier career-wise. Oh, for sure. The longer I stay at this company, I see more and more people from my department get promotions. Even people who haven't been here that long, and I'm still here. I'm missing out on pay raises I could definitely use. Yes, I have found it advantageous in certain situations to act extroverted. It has landed me promotions at work. Absolutely, the smooth talkers' big personalities are great at masking their incompetence and putting all the work on the introverts. And of course they are promoted. We're not used to playing the social game of manipulation to work our way up.
Nope.
The ability to really listen and genuinely connect with clients is an asset. No, if anything, it has been good for my reputation in my field.
I have a reputation for not socializing or fucking off at work.
I go to work to make a paycheck, not to fuck spiders. Sounds like you need to maybe find a job where loudmouths don't overshadow everyone else.
I can see that some industries have more of those than others.
I'm in road, and I feel very empowered to speak my mind and advocate for myself, but also let the work speak for itself when necessary. As an introvert, you just have to accept your current baseline and learn how to accentuate certain aspects that can improve your career. Much easier said than done, obviously. Also, introversion doesn't mean you can't speak up and advocate for yourself. That trait might be correlated with introversion, but that's a different thing than gaining energy from being alone more than with lots of other people. Not at work but playing sports at a high level all my life from youth to college, the people who are chosen as leaders in my experience were often the worst because they are loud and create this false larger-than-life popular guy figure that is deceivingly attractive. Many of these guys didn't possess true leadership qualities and were not very knowledgeable about the sport on a level needed by a captain. On the flip side, the quieter guys who took more care for their teammates that also lead by example were the best leaders, but unfortunately similar to your post. No matter how well you deliver, it's only valid if you're loud about it. I think it depends on the career. Some jobs are better for extroverts because even introverts who have learned to be extroverted will find them draining. I used to be worried about this, but then I realized working in an industry, aviation, that is quite technical and very intolerant of BS. People tend to be judged by results. Introverts take time to get their feet under the table and have to prove themselves, but if you are good at your job you will get noticed. Working in smaller teams also seems to help, as well as roles that are balanced between collaboration meetings and lone working. In good workplaces, managers tend to be able to see past the talk. Reading Quiet was a light bulb moment for me years ago. I might go reread it actually. I feel as though it is. Being an introvert makes it hard to put yourself out there. Yes. I can barely say anything without having anxiety in a room full of people. I'm a software engineer, so, no, not really. Being an introvert myself, I personally experience that everyone hates introverted people. They think I'm better than them by staying quiet and only minding my own business. They're so insecure about themselves that they want me to always speak me mind even when I don't want to. Yes, as a freelancer I have some steady clients, but the whole networking and selling myself part is something I am horrible at.
I love the alone time of being freelance though.
100.
Sadly, too many managers value appearances over real work.
I don't know what to do either. For me, no. I am not. But,
in the world of corporate world, you have to be outgoing to expand your network and gain people around you.
You need to let yourself out to be noticed and gain. And that's why it's a yes answer. I'm a software engineer, so not really, no. However, I'm very good at making my accomplishments known to my boss, and that can be done digitally, too. My hypothesis is that in a marketplace of abundant opportunities unconstrained by frictions, a free market, it generally is more valuable to get more business even if at a lower cost rather than get less business but ensure high-quality transactions. The reason for this is because it is much harder to check if something is done properly than it is to just do lots of things poorly. So for example, it's hard for regulators to keep up with these competitive corporations, so there's no cost or barrier to companies engaging in risky venture or doing piss-poor quality work. Because of that, extroversion is more valued. They won't spend time thinking deeply about what they're doing, and rather go out and make more sales business. Introverts would be more thoughtful and selective, ensuring only quality work is done, but this would come at a cost of getting more business. Yes, that is the hard truth in real life. Upper-level management appreciate people who can talk big even though he has no skill at all. My office also the same. There is one person who literally has zero experience, but was promoted because she looks good on paper although unrelated experience, and literally kiss her boss's ass since day one and made unrealistic promise to client. Her team behind her who worked their ass off to fulfill all the BS she promised to client. Also another guy, who never work in any office more than 1 year, has zero knowledge about anything but literally kiss everyone ass, not only the boss but colleagues. These two are the top contender of getting promoted. They literally spend 0 hour in production in any sort. 90 of their job were just talking nonsense and team behind them scrambled to clean up the mess they made, and last 10 were spent doing nothing. It burns me the F out. My entire job pivots around people engagement. New management tends to underestimate my capability to begin with, so periods of having to prove myself are on repeat. I wish I had something positive to say on this, but in answer to the original question, yes, I do. I work in TV. Huge part of it is networking and being able to talk yourself up. However, I do believe that you can still succeed in industries like this as an introvert, but it will take longer and a bit of luck timing. One thing I live by is don't look to the side, i.e. in this case, don't compare your career trajectory to others. It won't bring you any peace, justice, etc. Just keep doing what you're doing and show up to opportunities when they present themselves. You'll get there eventually. This might get buried, but yes. I worked in sales too and excelled, like you. And every job I've had was some customer client-facing job. Car repair, car sales, prec teacher, cafe manager, social worker, mental health tech. I'm awesome at talking to strangers, or clients I've grown to know, and shifting the focus on them. People love to talk about themselves, and I'm a big softie, so I genuinely care to listen. My mom calls me the universal friend. I can be kind to, and talk to, pretty much anyone, but on a mostly superficial level. Even if what they're telling me is heavy, that's where my training kicks in. Just get me talking on my life, and we're good. I don't want to get personal, or burden others, because I'm a mess inside, despite the shiny, happy exterior. That's not necessarily an introvert quality, but I am. I've just recently read that this is called masking, while researching my ADHD and bipolar. Like OMG, who am I really? Again, that's an ADHD bipolar thing, not necessarily just introverted. But it works for me. Also, I need an hour, at least, after work social interaction in total fucking silence to recharge. It's helpful for getting work done assuming everything goes smoothly. However, if I have to bring up an issue with someone's mistake, messing up my job or speaking up to get a raise promotion, it can get problematic. Then there's the social part of work with getting perks or a heads up when people don't assume the worst for me being an introvert. I have to go out of my way to be an extrovert at work so I don't get complaints, policed or walked all over on. It's exhausting, so I try to hide whenever I have free time or stay busy with reading or unassigned training. Yup. Your experience sounds very similar to my own.
I don't think the company I work for even cares about actually getting any work done.
They only care about how good employees are at selling themselves and the company. It's all about creating the perception that you are doing something cool, not actually doing it. They're just trying to keep the investor funding coming in. You could literally sit at your desk all day every day and do absolutely nothing, and you would be just fine as long as you were good at making people like you and convincing them that you were productive. But a person who keeps his mouth shut and actually works and produces something real, but isn't a good bullshitter, will be completely ignored. Talking a good game is definitely valued far above actually playing a good game. But I've learned to use it to my advantage. I make good money. If these idiots want to pay me to do mostly nothing, fine. I'll keep taking their money. I don't see it that way.
I'm introverted and people know this.
However, they seem to also respect my ideas very much. I do have to work harder than extroverts, but going the extra mile is definitely recognized. I have been in this position for 3 years and been turned down for promotion twice, but both times have been told I came very close, and both times the people that were hired were much more experienced than myself and highly qualified as well. Nevertheless, I do get told I have to speak up more, but I also get many recognitions for the work I do. I'm lucky I'm in a career where it's actually an advantage.
I don't think that's the case for many, though.
Yet, those who laugh loudest laugh last. I just don't understand how 10 deals didn't get complimented and 6 deals did my coworker. Tell this to your manager and tell them, you think you're being overlooked because you're an introvert. You have the numbers, you can prove you're performing well. If your manager is a good one, they will take care.